Good morning, children. Today we are entering into our geography lesson 2, land, soil, water, natural vegetation and wildlife. These are the important factors of life to exist on the earth. So in this lesson we start with the two small children, Mamba and Peter. Mamba is a small girl who is living in a small village in Tanzania in Africa. She gets up early morning to fetch a water. For that she has to walk a long way and return after a few hours. She then helps her mother in the house and joins her brother in taking care of their goats. All her family owns is a piece of rocky land around their small hut. Mamba's father can barely grow some maize and beans on it after toiling hard, that is working hard, and this is not enough to feed their family for the whole year. Peter. Next come to the Peter, who is living in New Zealand. You all know where is the New Zealand? It is a southern island which lies near our Australian continent. So this Peter, he is living in the heart of the ship rearing region in New Zealand, where his family runs a wool processing factory. Every day when he returns from the school, he watches his uncle taking care of their ship. Their shipyard is situated on a wide grassy plain with the hills in the far distance, and it is managed in a scientific way using the latest technology. So they are earning somewhat better. So Peter's family also grow vegetables through organic farming. Here we see about Mamba and Peter stay in two different parts of the world and led very different lives. This difference is because of the difference in the quality of land, soil, water, natural vegetation, animals and the usage of technology. The availability of such resource is the main reason places differ from each other. So in this lesson we are going to see about land, its use, conservation, soil, factors of farming, degradation and conservation measures, water, problem of availability and conservation, natural vegetation and wildlife, its distribution and its conservation. Land, it is a most important natural resources. We all know that our earth is surrounded by, 70% of water and 30% of land. So the available land is very less. In that available land, 90% of the world population occupies only 30% of land area. The total land area available on the earth is 30%. On the same way, the land which is suitable for the human to live their life easily, the land available for the human to live their life easily is only again 30% of total available land. The remaining 70% of the land is either sparsely populated or uninhabited, that is, it is not suitable for the human to live. The undistribution of population in different parts of the world is mainly due to varied characteristics of land and climate, the rough topography, steep slopes of the mountain, low-lying areas susceptible to waterlogging, desert areas, thick forested areas are normally sparsely populated or uninhabited. But the plains and river valleys, which is suitable land for agriculture, is mostly populated and also densely populated. So hence the places where the plains and river valleys are densely populated areas of the world. Next comes the land and its use. Land is used for different purposes such as agriculture, forestry, mining, building houses, roads and setting up of industries. This is commonly termed as land use. And the use of the land is determined by the physical factors. The physical factors are nothing but topography, soil, climate, minerals and availability of water. The human factors such as population and technology are also important determinants of the land use pattern. The land is classified into private land and also community land. Private land is a land owned by individuals, whereas community land is a land owned by community for common uses like collection of fodder, fruits, nuts or medicinal herbs. These community lands are also called common property resources. That is, private land is owned by a single person, whether the community property is owned by common people or whether by government. People and their demands are ever growing, but the availability of land is limited. The quality of land also differs from place to place. People started encroaching the common lands, that is, occupying. Encroaching is nothing but occupying the common lands to build up commercial areas, housing complexes in the urban areas, and to expand the agricultural land in the rural areas. So in urban areas they used the land for building houses. In rural areas they use the land for agricultural cultivation. Nowadays in rural areas also housing complex has become very common. Today the vast change in the land use pattern also reflect the cultural change in our society. So land degradation, landslides, soil erosion, desertification are the major threats to environment because of the expansion of agriculture and constructive activities. Conservation of land. So, growing population and their ever-growing demand has led to a large-scale destruction of forest cover and arable land has created a fear of losing this natural resources. Therefore, the present rate of degradation of land must be checked. That is, land is fastly degraded. This is also one of the reasons the pollution that is caused by plastics and etc., which are polluting the land surface. Afforestation, land reclamation, regulated use of chemical pesticides and fertilizers, and check on overgrazing are some of the common methods used to conserve land resources. So it is very useful and worthwhile matter to protect our land for future generation. Landslides. These are simply defined as a mass movement of rock, debris or earth down a slope. They often takes place in conjunction with earthquakes, floods and volcanoes. A prolonged spell of rainfall can cause heavy landslide that can block the flow of river for quite some time. The formation of river blocks can cause havoc to the settlements downstream on its bursting. In the hilly terrain, landslides have been a major and a widely spread natural disaster that often strike life and property and occupy a position of major concern. Think about our Erkard during a heavy rainy season. The routes will be closed. If the landslides occurs, nobody will allow to climb the Erkard mountains, or nobody is allowed to come down from the mountain area. So, likewise here in our book, a case study is given about Pangi village, where a massive landslide hit this Pangi village near Rekongpio in Kinnaur district of Himachal Pradesh and damaged a 200-meter stretch of whole Hindustan Tibet road. It is a National Highway 22, National Highway road, and this landslide was triggered by intense blasting at Pangi village. Due to the blasting, this big zone of slope collapsed and caused intense damage to the road and nearby villages. The Pangi village was completely vacated to avoid any possible loss of life. So the mitigation mechanisms. Advancement in scientific techniques has empowered us to understand what factors cause landslide and how to manage them. Some broad mitigation techniques of landslide are as follows. Hazard mapping to locate areas prone to landslide. Hence, such areas can be avoided for building settlements. So, the slopes are not suitable for buildings. Construction of a retention wall to stop land from slipping. While we are traveling in the mountains, mountain roadsides, we can see this construction of retention, increasing in the vegetation cover to arrest landslide, which is that is counter ploughing, etc., will reduce this landslide. The surface drainage control works to control the movement of landslide along the rainwater and spring flows. And next, our heading is about soil. We all know the soil is a thin layer of granite substance covering the surface of the earth. and it is closely linked to land. The landforms determine the types of soil. Soil is made up of organic matters, minerals and weathered rocks found on the earth. This happens through the process of weathering. The right mix of minerals and organic matters make the soil very fertile. So all know that it takes 100 years to make just 1 centimeter of soil. So did you know about the process of weathering? Weathering is nothing but breaking up and decay of exposed rocks by temperature changes, frost, action, plants, animals and human activity. So weathering is nothing but breaking up and decaying of exposed rocks. The rock is exposed by temperature changes, frost action, plants, animals and human activities. Next come our soil profile. The topsoil is covered with humus and it is suitable for vegetation. The subsoil with sand and silt, clay. Weathered rock material is the next stage, and at the bottom it is the parent rock, where from the rock texture is fixed. Now we are seeing about factors of soil formation. The major factors of soil formation of nature of parent rock. I already told about the parent rock now, and climatic factors. Other factors are the topography, role of organic materials and time taken for the composition of soil formation. All these differ from place to place. So parent rock, it determines color, texture, chemical properties, mineral content, permeability of the soil, while the relief, that is the height and the slope, determines the accumulation of soil. Next comes the flora and fauna and microorganisms, that is the plant community and animal community, affects the rate of humus formation. Next comes the time, which determines the thickness of the soil profile. We already had seen it takes hundreds of years to make just 1 centimeter of soil. Next comes the climate. The temperature, rainfall influences the rate of weathering, and humus formation all influences the soil. Next we are going to see about the degradation of soil. So degradation, soil erosion and depletion are the major threats to soil as a resource. Both human and natural factors can lead to degradation of soils. Factors which led to soil degradation are deforestation, overgrazing, overuse of chemical fertilizers or pesticides, rainwash, landslides and floods. Some methods of soil conservation also listed below. That is, first method is mulching, that is bare ground covered with a layer of organic matter like straw to retain moisture. So the moisture is present and which is suitable for the plants to grow well. Next comes our counter barriers. That stone, grass, soil are used to build barriers along the contours. Trenches are made before it to collect waters. So you can see it on the image. Next comes our intercropping, that is different crops are grown in alternate row and are shown at different time to protect the soil from rain was. That is what you can see in the image. Next comes our contour bluffing. Bluffing parallel to the contour of a hill slope to form a natural barrier of water to flow down the slope, which we can see through the image. Next comes our shelter belts. In the coastal and dry regions, rows of trees are planted to check the wind movement to protect the soil. That is shelter belts. Next, terrace forming. Broad flat steps or terraces are made on the steep slopes so that flat surfaces are available to grow crops. They reduce surface runoff and soil erosion. And the next one is the rock dams. Rocks are piled up to slow down the flow of water. This prevents gullies and further soil loss. There is an activity also given in your book. Take a two trays, A and B of same size. Make 6 holes at one end of these trays and then fill them with the same amount of soil. Leave the soil in a tray A bare while show wheat or rice grains in the tray B. When the grain in the tray B has grown a few centimeters high, places both the trays in such a way that they are on a slope, that is as seen in the image. Pour 1 mug of water from the same height into each tray. Collect the muddy water that trickles down the holes of the both trays in 2 separate containers and compare how much soil is washed out of each tray. Just to try in the home and say to us. The next heading is about water. It is a vital, renewable, natural resource. 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered with water. It is therefore approximately called the water planet. So our Earth is also called as water planet because of availability of 70% on the water on the Earth. And it was in the primitive oceans that life began almost 3.5 billion years back. Even today, the ocean covers 2/3 of the Earth's surface and support a rich variety of plants and animal life. The ocean water is, however, saline and not fit for human consumption. We are not able to use the ocean water in our Earth. The fresh water, available fresh water is 2.7%. That is only 2.7% of whole available water. Nearly 70% of this occurs as ice sheets and glaciers in Antarctica. In 2.7% of the water, the fresh water, maximum it is available in ice sheets and glaciers in Antarctica, Greenland and mountain regions. Due to their location, they are inaccessible, that is not useful for the human life. So the availability of the fresh water for human use is only 1%. So it is found as groundwater, as surface water in rivers and lakes, and as water vapor in the atmosphere. So for human use, we have only 1% of fresh water, that too in the form of underground water, the water in the surface in rivers and lakes, and also includes water vapor in the atmosphere. The fresh water is therefore the most precious substance on the earth. Water can neither be added or nor be subtracted from the earth. Its total volume remains constant. Its abundance only seems to vary because it is in constant motion, that is water cycle, cycling through the oceans, the air, the land and back again. Water, this is called as water cycle. It got evaporated, then it condensed, and then it precipitates, and at last it ran off into the ocean. This we already know it as water cycle. You all know the dripping tap wastes 1200 liters of water in a year. So what do we have to do? We have to be very careful while opening the tap, using the water and closing it. Do you know in 1975 the consumption of water for the human use is only 3,850 kilometer per year, and it is soared to more than 6,000 kilometer per year in the year 2000. So we should be very careful in using fresh water. Human use huge amounts of water not only for drinking and washing, but also in the process of production, water for agriculture, industries, generating electricity through reservoirs of dams or the other usages of water. Increasing population, rising demand for food and cash crops, increasing urbanization and rising standard of living are the major factors leading to shortages in supply of fresh water. It is either due to drying up of water source or water population. So we should be very careful while using water. Problems of water availability. There is a scarcity of water in many regions of the world. Do you hear about a water market? Only if water in think about our day-to-day regular life. If water is not coming for 1 week, we will manage. and if again water will not coming for the next week also, we can manage. How can we get the water? Now we are using that bottle can, no, which we have paid for it, and we are using the waters like that. There is a village called, there is a city called Amrali in Saurashtra region with a population of 1.2 lakhs and is completely depend on purchasing of water from the nearby taluks. So one whole city is purchasing. Think about how they are losing their life, wasting their money, and they are depending on others for their life important life sustaining thing, which is that it is nothing but the water. So we should be very careful while using the waters. So the water shortage, that is the scarcity of water, may be caused by the consequences of variation in seasonal or annual precipitation. That is, if the rain not comes or if the season fails, the water scarcity is aroused, or the scarcity is caused by over exploitation and contamination of water sources. That is, overly we are using the available water, or contaminating, that is, now without purifying the industrial waste, we are pouring the waste directly into river, which causes contamination of water sources. So we have to avoid all those things which are cause damage for our water resource. How to conserve our water resource? We have to conserve our water resource, which is very less. Access to clean and adequate water sources is a major problem facing world today. Steps have been taken to conserve this dwindling resource. Even each and every citizen of the world has to take the steps. Even the water is a renewable resource, its overuse and the pollution make it unfit for use. Discharge of untreated or partially treated sewage, agricultural chemicals and industrial effluents in water bodies are major contaminants we already seen. They pollute water with nitrates, metals and pesticides. Most of these chemicals are non-biodegradable and reach human bodies through water. This water pollution can be controlled by treating this effluent suitably before releasing them into water bodies. Forest and other vegetation cover slow surface runoff and replenish underground water. Water harvesting is another method to save surface runoff. The canals used for irrigation fields should be properly lined to minimize losses by water seepage. That is, we should not allow water to leak or water to evaporate unwantedly. Sprinklers effectively irrigate the area by checking water losses through seepage and evaporation. In dry regions with high rate of evaporation, drip or trickle irrigation is very useful. The valuable water resource can therefore be conserved by adopting these means of irrigation. The next chapter we are going to see the next side heading we are going to see is natural vegetation and wildlife. We all know the things what we are seeing in the nature, the things what it is growing in the earth surface without influence of the human is called as natural vegetation. Think about the bamboo handbags. What are the bamboo chairs? The lampshades and the chairs etc. are made up of cans and bamboos. In the eastern and the northeastern humid region of India, bamboo grows in plenty. So these bamboos are cultivated and used for different materials to decorate our home. So these we get the things are from nature. So nature gives us many things. Natural vegetation and wildlife exist only in the narrow zone of contact between the lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere that we call biosphere. So natural vegetation, already told, what are the things which are grown by us without the human influence are natural vegetation, and these are very useful for man in in different ways. We can see another one. First we had seen about the bamboo example. Now we are going to see about the next example. It is about mulberry trees, which breed, which helps to breed silkworms. And this silk, what is a very rich quality of cloth which we are wearing. We all like to wear the silk materials now. Now we come to natural vegetation. So this natural vegetation and wildlife, already we see that they exist in a narrow zone of contact between lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. The contact of these three spheres is called that biosphere. In the biosphere, living beings are interrelated and interdependent on each other for survival. This life supporting system is known as ecosystem. The vegetation and wildlife are variable resources. These valuable resources have to be protected by us. Plants provide us with timber, give shelter to animals, produce oxygen we breathe, protect soil so essential for growing crops, acts as shelter belts, help in storage of underground water, gives us fruits, nuts, latex, turpentine oil, gum, medicinal plants and also the paper that is so essential for our studies. And there are innumerable uses of plants, and you can add some more. What are the things we can say? Daily we are, the food we eat, the vegetables we are eating, everything is getting from the plants. Now we will move to the wildlife. This wildlife includes animals, birds, insects as well as the aquatic life forms. They provide us milk, meat, hides and wool. Insects like bees provide us honey, help in pollination of flowers and have an important role to play as decomposers in the ecosystem. The birds feed on insects and acts as the decomposers as well. Vulture, due to its ability to feed on dead livestock, is a scavenger. Scavenger is nothing but discarding the waste. Yes, no. So vulture, as has its ability to feed on dead livestock, considered a vital cleanser of the environment. So animals, big or small, all are integral to maintaining balance in the ecosystem. Distribution of natural vegetation. The growth of vegetation depends primarily on temperature and moisture. That is, the water vapor present in the air is moisture. The major vegetation types of the world are grouped as forest, grassland, shrubs and tundra. In heavy rainfall, huge trees may thrive, that is grow. The forests are thus associated with areas having abundant water supplies. As the amount of moisture starts decrease, the size of the trees and their density reduces. Thus, stunned trees and grasses grow in the region of moderate rainfall, forming the grassland of the world. Then comes thorny shrubs and scrubs grows in a dry region of low rainfall. In such areas, plants have deep roots and leaves with thorny and waxy surface, reduce loss of moisture through transpiration. Tundra vegetation of cold polar region comprises of mosses and lichens. The forest is classified into evergreen and deciduous forest. Evergreen forests are the forests which will not shed their leaves at any seasons because it grows on the heavy rainfall region. But the deciduous forests shed their leaves in a particular season to conserve loss of moisture through transpiration. Both type of forests are further classified as tropical or temperature forest based on their locations, that is in the latitudes and altitudes. In different latitudes, you all know about the animal life is associated with forest. Today there are many more people in the world than there were 2 centuries back. That is, the population is overly increased nowadays. To feed the growing numbers, large areas of the forest have been cleared to grow crops. That is, now it in rural regions, many areas are cultivated for agriculture. Forest cover all over the world is vanishing rapidly. For cultivating crops, we are destroying the forest. There is an urgent need to conserve this valuable resource. That is, conservation of natural vegetation and wildlife. Forests are our wealth. Plants give shelter to the animals, and together they maintain the ecosystem. Changes of climate and human interference can cause the loss of natural habitats for the plants and animals. Many species have become vulnerable or endangered, that is going to not exist, and some are on the verge of extinctions. Deforestation, soil erosion, construction activities, forest fires, tsunamis, and landslide are some of the human and natural factors which accelerate the process of extinction of these resources. One of the major concern is the poaching. You know what is meant by poaching? It is nothing but killing animals for something, that for human need, which this poaching this increase in poaching result in a sharp decline in number of particular species. So many species came to its extinction, that is many species going to end. The animals are poached for collection and illegal trade of hides, skins, nails, teeth, horns, as well as feathers. Some of these animals are tiger, lion, elephant, deer, black buck, crocodile, rhinoceros, snow leopard, ostrich, and peacock. These can be conserved by increasing awareness. National parks, wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserves are made to protect our natural vegetation and wildlife. Conservation of creeks. Creeks is nothing but water inlets from ocean to land area. So, so we can conserve creeks across the coastal areas. Lakes and wetlands is necessary to save the precious resource from depletion. There is a balance in the environment if the relative number of species is not disturbed. Human activities in several parts of the world have disturbed to natural habitats of many species due to indiscriminate killings. That is, several birds and animals have either become extinct or on the verge of extinction. Awareness programs like social forestry and Vanamahotsava should be encouraged at the regional and community level. School children should be encouraged to bird watch and visit nature camps so that they appreciate the habit of various species. Many countries have passed laws against the trade as well as killing of birds and animals. In our country also, killing lions, tigers, great Indian bustards, and peacocks is illegal. An international convention, CITES, has been established that lists several species of animals and birds in which trade is prohibited. Conservation of plants and animals is an ethical duty of every citizen. So it is our important work to conserve, to protect the natural resources by reducing. Thank you, children. This chapter is very useful for you, I think. Thank you.